We'll hear from a local health expert about possible side effects some people are experiencing from their second COVID-19 vaccine dose.
The lead investigator is testifying today in Derek Chauvin's murder trial. I'm Michael George with what he and other police experts say about Chauvin's actions leading up to George Floyd's death.
The Four States' most watched news starts now.
Some four-staters report side effects from the second COVID-19 dose. This is KOAM News at 5. Dr. Eden Esquero with Mercy Hospital in Joplin says the side effects are broken up into two categories, what they call local and systemic. The local side effects come from where you actually get the shot in your arm and usually include a bit of pain, redness, and swelling, which Dr. Esquero says are quite common. It's the systemic effects which are felt throughout your body, like fever, aches, and pains, and nausea, which are causing some discomfort.
You have to take this Tylenol or other fever-lowering medications when you actually start having the fevers. So it's not recommended that you do something before you start getting the symptoms.
It's going to be a stick.
We're going to hear more from Dr. Esquero on what you can do if you do have side effects, and from a local woman about her experience with the second dose tonight at 6. For the latest news and resources related to the COVID-19 vaccine, go to our website, koamnewsnow.com/vaccine. On that same page, you'll find a form that you can fill out to send us your questions about COVID-19 and vaccine distribution. Again, that's koamnewsnow.com/vaccine. On Monday, we told you about Joplin's first medical marijuana dispensary opening. There are also dispensaries in Cassville, Neosho, and Carthage. But what product is available? Well, we're told that in recent months, the amount of supply has increased quite a bit. Blue Sage Cannabis Company in Carthage, which has been open for 2 months, has flower, pre-rolls, and edibles, and vape cartridges and concentrates are coming soon.
We just started with flower at first and edibles, and over time we've slowly been able, as the supply keeps getting bigger and bigger, we're getting more products. We do have a lab currently manufacturing in Springfield, so we're going to be getting a lot more concentrates and edibles and stuff like that coming up soon.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more about how the supply of cannabis products is looking in our area. Nick Kelly joined us now. Many of us got a bit of rain today.
Yeah, and I think we're not quite done with the storm system yet, Dal, even though we're thankful that the cold front pushed any thunderstorm chances we have with the system well to the east of us. But on the western sides of the viewing area, you can see a few sporadic little showers in parts of Greenwood County, northwestern Woodson, and southwestern parts of Anderson and Coffee County. Again, we're not concerned about the cold front anymore. That's where we find the strong to severe storms arcing from central and eastern Missouri all the way down into the Arklatex as you head toward the Gulf Coast. But now we have to deal with the backside of the system. That's going to keep mostly cloudy skies in place for the evening and nighttime ahead of us and try to bring in at least some shower chances back in here. In the meantime, though, definitely cooler behind the cold front. Certainly did its job, knocking temperatures back into mainly the mid-50s to about 60 degrees. That breeze stays in place out of the west for tonight, dropping temperatures eventually back into the mid-40s. I'm tracking other rain and storm chances on the way. Now we'll break down the full forecast here in a bit.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Nick. Jurors at the murder trial of ex-Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin heard more today from an LAPD use of force expert on this 8th day of testimony. Prosecutors called 4 officers to the stand yesterday who all criticized the fired officer's treatment of George Floyd. Michael George reports now from New York.
On the 8th day of Derek Chauvin's murder trial, jurors once again viewed body cam video of Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck and heard from an LAPD sergeant who called those actions deadly force.
He was not attempting to resist, and the pressure that was being caused by the body weight could cause positional asphyxia.
The prosecution hired Los Angeles Police Sergeant Jody Steiger as a use of force expert to assess Chauvin's actions.
On May 25th of 2020, Minneapolis Police Department authorized the use of neck restraints, right?
Correct.
Under cross-examination, the defense pressed him on whether Chauvin's tactics that day were objectionably reasonable.
Based on what he saw, active resistance, he could have come up and dry stunned him or tased him.
Yes.
He didn't do that, right?
No, he did not.
Steiger pushed back, saying Chauvin had an obligation to render aid when Floyd repeatedly cried out he couldn't breathe.
It was not objectively reasonable. As a officer on scene, you have a responsibility to realize that, okay, something is not right.
Current and former Minneapolis police officers have testified this week that Chauvin acted outside the bounds of policy. On Wednesday, the defense tried to introduce a video to back up their claim that Floyd's drug use and underlying health conditions led to his death.
You hear what he said?
No, I couldn't make it out.
The jury has yet to hear from the Hennepin County medical examiner and other medical experts on what caused Floyd's death. Michael George, CBS News.
Chauvin's accused of murder and manslaughter in connection to Floyd's death. If convicted, he could get up to 40 years in prison. Coming up in Health Watch, another potential long-term symptom of COVID-19.
New research reveals the impact of COVID. I'm Ian Lee with how scientists say the virus can affect your brain.
And later, President Biden gives new details about his multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure plan. In Health Watch, federal officials caution against complacency in the battle against COVID-19. As cases tick up again, Dr. Anthony Fauci warns that the U.S. risks another surge if states completely pull back on mitigation efforts. President Biden's chief medical advisor also says the gap between supply and demand for coronavirus vaccinations is closing every day. His remarks come a day after President Biden moved up the deadline for every adult in the U.S. to be eligible for a shot by April 19th if they're not already eligible. The CDC also announced that nearly 80% of all teachers, school staff, and other child care workers have received at least one dose of the vaccine. New research is revealing more about the psychological impact of the coronavirus. Scientists in England found people diagnosed with COVID-19 are at a greater risk of developing a range of psychological and neurological conditions. Ian Lee reports from London.
Cover things, it's allowed me to see things that I otherwise wouldn't have seen.
Ivan Agerton has his dream job, traveling the world as an adventure photographer. But when he returned from his latest assignment, he was diagnosed with COVID.
Because my symptoms were so mild, I wasn't overly concerned.
The father of three thought he recovered, but within days, his world turned upside down.
It instantly, like a light switch, I felt this intense paranoia hit me. I couldn't escape it. It kept every single person that I saw would trigger this intense fear.
And how bad did it get?
As I was hearing voices outside the window, I thought I heard people in the bushes.
Doctors eventually linked his condition to COVID. He's not alone. Researchers at Oxford University found 1 in 3 COVID patients in the U.S. developed brain or psychiatric disorders within 6 months of being infected.
As we compared those percentages with people who've been ill with a range of other conditions during the pandemic era.
Dr. Harrison's team found COVID patients were treated more often for a range of disorders, from common ones like anxiety and depression to rare conditions like dementia and psychosis. They hope future studies will reveal why.
Is this, for example, a direct effect of the virus getting into the brain and damaging the brain? Is it inflammation in the brain?
It was absolutely the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Months later, Agerton says he's vaccinated and feeling better.
It is under control right now, to an extent.
He hopes sharing his story will give others courage to ask for help. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Scientists also found the sicker people became from COVID, the more likely they were to develop mental health complications. The study is published in the Lancet Psychiatric Journal. A new technology known as digital breast tomosynthesis, or DBT, can reduce the rate of interval breast cancer. That's an often aggressive cancer that develops between routine screenings. A study published in Radiology found DBT to be a better tool than traditional digital mammography. People with coronary artery disease are 3 times more likely to have diabetes compared to those who are not heart patients. It's according to a new study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. It found nearly 30% of patients with heart disease also had diabetes, compared to just 9% of the general population. Nick Kelly is up next with his complete forecast, and a little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about what to do for an itchy dog.
Our cold front rolled on through today as advertised, and it did bring in some cooler temperatures for sure, not to mention rain for some, especially from the complex of storms that originated out in central Kansas last night. That has expected to graze our very far northern counties. Then as the cold front trailed on through, we'll restart the laps and show you right about the 69 corridor. That is where we had a developing line of rain and thunderstorms at least get going here before they really ramped up in strength and coverage as they worked in the central parts of Missouri. Out of this storm system so far, there's not a lot of widespread rainfall to show for it. Not much for southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, so you had to go to our very far northern counties closer to Kansas City and southwest Missouri, where we had anywhere from maybe 1/10 to 3/10 of an inch of rain. All the plentiful rain with the system now is very much in central and eastern parts of Missouri, where we have quite a severe thunderstorm watch blanketing the state as well. Then we got tornado watches extending down through the Arklatex into northeastern parts of Texas. For us, though, we're dealing with the backside of the system. You can see some developing showers again from Wichita back up over to Hayes. That's moisture that'll stick around in the form of cloud cover tonight, and at least some scattered showers for tonight and heading into tomorrow. Another aspect of the system, again, certainly advertised with cooler temperatures. Mid-70s yesterday, and high today around 70 by 11 a.m. Then a quick drop into the 50s and eventually near 60, which is where we're sitting right now as we look outside from our station's rooftop. We're actually at 59 now in Joplin, a west wind at 20 with gusts near 30, keeping everybody mainly in the 50s from 50 in Yates Center to 59 in Carthage. Eventually, though, we're going to see these numbers drop back into the upper 40s by midnight and eventually the mid 40s to start your Thursday morning out. So let me take you back to the mast. Let me show you where the frontal system is now. You can see how this whole system stretches from about central Iowa all the way down to about the Texas Gulf Coast. This is the front in question. We don't have to worry about the storms along and ahead of the cold front. We're just dealing with the moisture on the backside of the system. That'll keep, again, cloud cover and showers around, but I'm already watching another system on the way. Once we get this upper low out of the picture, we'll see this one quickly roll in on Friday. That could be another chance for thunderstorms as we get the weekend started. But we're dealing with these systems one at a time, so let's get through with this one first. Fortunately, there's not much to deal with this here. We'll keep cool as we head toward the overnight and into Thursday morning. Again, the wraparound moisture keeping us mostly cloudy. And again, the future track picking up on what I'm thinking, at least scattered showers during the overnight and into Thursday morning. And any rain chances during the day tomorrow, I think it's mainly during the morning because I'm expecting the bulk of the rain chances to shift out to the northeast, leaving us with a pretty good afternoon to savor for our Thursday. 46 in the morning, 57 by noon, afternoon highs right around 68 degrees. I want to take you right to Friday because we'll start Friday on a quiet note with temperatures bouncing back into the upper 70s, but then this wave could give us some strong thunderstorms Friday afternoon into Friday night. I think we could see a few leftover showers on Saturday, but then the 7-day forecast shows staying us a bit active going into early next week with rain chances on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we could actually turn chilly by the middle of next week with highs near 56 on Tuesday and 52 on Wednesday. But at least the next few days, temperature-wise down, we're looking okay. 68 tomorrow and 77 on Friday.
Yeah, and Sunday in particular looks like a nice day.
Yeah, so far that's the pick day of the weekend to get out and enjoy.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up, I'll look at President Biden's plan to revitalize America's infrastructure. First, though, we honor a local World War I veteran. Ray Beeman served in the U.S. Army in 1918 and 1919. Thayer, Kansas native was stationed in Russia and Siberia, and we salute Private First Class Ray Beeman, a four-state hero. A week after unveiling his infrastructure plan, President Biden is trying to rally support for it. The multi-trillion-dollar American Jobs Plan aims to upgrade roads and bridges in need of repair, as well as the building blocks of the modern economy, which includes broadband. President Biden says the plan will put millions of Americans to work. He's also defending his proposal to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28% to help pay for the package, but says he's open to debate on it.
Of good faith negotiations, and any Republican who wants to get this done, I invite.
In fact, it's a whopping tax increase on the most productive parts of our society, both companies and individuals, which won't come close to paying for the size of the so-called infrastructure package.
The Senate parliamentarian this week ruled Congress could use budget reconciliation again this year, and Senate Democrats weigh that as an option to potentially pass a bill with just a simple majority. A Wichita aerospace supply company has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. It follows losses it blamed on the COVID-19 pandemic and suspension of Boeing's 737 MAX plane. The Wichita Eagle reports that TECT Aerospace filed for the protection, which also covers company facilities in Washington state. The company says it'll continue its work during the bankruptcy reorganization and plans to separately sell its Kansas and Washington state operations. Starbucks coffee is getting greener. The company is launching a new trial program called Borrow a Cup to celebrate Earth Month. Customers can get their drinks in a reusable cup and then return it to a store's contactless kiosk or through an at-home pickup service called Ridwell. Participants can get Starbucks credit. The trial program is just in Seattle for now, but it could expand elsewhere. Our Pet Vet on Call next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more from area health experts about the potential side effects of a second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Plus, an area vaccine distributor says they recently got a shipment of the Johnson & Johnson one-dose vaccine after seeing high demand for it. And the Joplin School District offers Excellence in Education grants to educators in the district. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Seems not every itch is caused by the same problem. Today's question for our Pet Vet on Call comes from Charlesy. She says, my dog has been itching a lot and I know it isn't fleas. What should I do?
Fleas are only one common cause of itch. The other biggie is environmental. If it's a seasonal thing, there's pollens from flowers, from weeds, from grass, from trees. If it's in the house, it could be something like bedding material, cleaning solutions, house mites, could be a number of things. The best thing is always to identify the allergen and avoid it, but that is not feasible. Some people test their animals for allergies and then go through desensitizing injections. My personal experience is that is very expensive and the results are not good or fast enough. There are a variety of treatments like injections and medications, antihistamines, medicated baths that work really, really well. And then there's always nutrition. Hypoallergenic diets, even though the allergy is not to food, seems to help itchy dogs. So see your veterinarian. There's definitely a regimen for your pet.
Thanks for the question. We invite questions from anyone. If you have one, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Excuse me, Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. Let's check out this week's picks of the litter from the Joplin Humane Society. We've chosen an adult male shepherd mix named Jackson. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we've chosen a 7-month-old gray female short hair named Frankie. If you're looking for a pet, you might want to check out your local Humane Society. Allergies, I think, perhaps.
It gets to everybody, I'm telling you.
I guess so. Chances of rain again.
Yeah, hoping to wash out some of these allergens. We'll watch for shower chances late tonight and for at least the first part of our Thursday with highs through 68. Then I want to watch for another wave on Friday. I think the day overall looks dry with highs through 77, but by late Friday afternoon, Friday night, we can see some thunderstorms back in here before you know it, Dow.
Thanks, Nick, and thank you for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, of course. We're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.